Thank you so much for joining me for this webinar, which I feel called to share. And some of you know my journey, and I'm going to share my journey, but it feels really like the tide is changing. Many more people are looking for holistic ways of healing. And today I wanted us to explore the very common mental health challenges that people experience, which is anxiety and depression. And although I say anxiety and depression, this applies for any diagnosis. It could be mental health diagnosis, it could be physical health diagnosis, and it's a relationship to whatever we are experiencing, right? Whether we call it anxiety and depression or something else. So thank you for coming. Right at the beginning, I want to say something about listening. The third point here, if you trust that trust that if you're looking for gold, you'll find gold. So if you come here and say, I know that there is something here for me to learn today, even if it's like one tiny thing, you will find that. So it's the focus is aligning with like what is it that you would really want to see happen. So that's the power of listening. I want you to bring your best listening, turn off all your distractions as much as possible. And this thing, the listening for a feeling, right? Some of you know that I share what is called the three principles understanding, but I share it in my own words. I call it mental wealth, and you can call it whatever you want. But when I first came across this understanding, also called inside out understanding, and Sydney Banks, the person who uncovered the three principles or came up with a metaphor of the three principles because he had a profound experience, I heard him say in some talks, listen for a feeling. I really got stuck with that because sometimes I felt happy and I thought, oh, that's a feeling maybe Sydney Banks is pointing to, but that seems very fleeting. And then as my understanding deepened, I realized that, okay, that feeling that Sydney Banks is talking about was what I've heard Muji. Some of you might have heard the name Muji. He's a spiritual teacher as well. And Muji calls fragrance of the soul, like the scent of the soul. So that definitely cuts through all like, oh, I'm feeling happy, I'm feeling sad, or a sad feeling, or a happy feeling, or an excited feeling, to something more soulful, something more joyful, and something very deep. And more recently, rather than saying listening for a good feeling, I've started to say listen for a God feeling. Now, right at the beginning, I want to say if you hear me use the word God, please know that I'm talking about a non-religious God. I'm spiritual and I don't see myself as religious. I've never followed any religion, but there's something here that I want to say right at the beginning, that the power of about listening that is very hard for you to even articulate. That does, that could be like you don't even apply listening through this. You're listening from somewhere else. So that's my invitation to you, to just come empty. You say, oh, I know all this stuff about mental health. I've been told this by doctors or healthcare professionals about what anxiety is, what depression is, and how I should be healing from these conditions. You can bring that listening, but I would really say that what is going to serve you today is if you were to, just for now, just for the next however long you're going to be with us, park those expectations or definitions or what you think is the path forward, is a intervention for anxiety and depression, and what isn't. So I just want us all to just see what comes up, because although I am the one who prepared this presentation, I really don't know what's going to come out through me. That's how I show up. Something will guide me to share with you what I have come to see. So what we're going to explore together, I know that everything is maybe not is showing in the slides. Um, yes, apologies for that. Okay, so but we are going to look at the usual healing approaches, the problem with conventional or usual healing approaches. I definitely want to touch on that. I won't go very deep into that. I would also want us to explore the hidden role of our body or the nervous system in healing or not healing. And I would, although I said a simple shift in perspective, it's a profound shift in perspective about our feelings, our perceptions, and what we know or what we call thought. So I'm going to, as best as possible, I want to explore this together with So what I have part, I will be the one sharing, and then I would love to open it up for sharing comments and any yes buts. But I want us to have an interaction here. And if at any point you have any question, please feel free to type it in the comment section, and I will pick it up if it is relevant and if it needs to be shared at that point. All right. Thank you. So I want to say a bit about my journey. So most of you know me as a psychiatrist, and that I am also a coach. And let me just say that I have been a seeker, but not initially. Definitely, I don't think I was a seeker as a young girl who was struggling with low confidence and had low self-esteem. I don't think I was a seeker in the spiritual sense when I was a teenager or in my 20s. I definitely was not a seeker when I was in medical school and my dad we lost our dad because of a very tragic, horrific um, encounter. Like he was in a police force anyway, so he passed away, and that was very shocking for us. And I was not a seeker then. I not at least not intentionally, and I was like an angry person. I identified myself as an angry person, and I would get angry very, very quickly. Now, those of you who know me now, you say, Rani, you're an angry person, really? But I had this identity of an angry person for a very long time, and lots of insecurities. And then I think in 2001, that's when I started like my journey of seeking, because I felt that a lot of my insecurities were coming out more. And then I started this journey of seeking. And then I went to conferences like Tony Robbins, all by accident. Um, and so most of you might know about Tony Robbins. He's from the US and known worldwide as the life coach, like a guru. And then I decided to train as a coach myself back in 2007. But the most important reason why I was seeking was when I started my training as a psychiatrist, as a junior doctor, I got a bit confused. I thought, how come my patients, like, I definitely was not an expert. They were the consultants, and we had to carry on what we were told and whatever we learned in the books and whatever we learned for our, MRC psych exams. I thought that was all it was. And I felt that despite people being given high dose of medications, despite people having one therapy after another, and I'm talking about secondary care in NHS, in the UK, secondary care mental health services, despite getting lots of different medication over the years, high dose and changing and swapping, and despite having therapies, despite having like social support with the help of social workers, people were still not thriving. And what we used to call, and maybe they still call the revolving door patients. Some people would keep coming back, keep coming back. And I just felt like hopeless. And that's where I felt like I would love to go on this journey myself and see what tools are out there and collect tools, my toolkit, so that I, as a like, if and I apply it for myself, and if I, as a psychiatrist and as a person, I benefit from them, I can bring it to my patients. So I went on this seeking journey and have been seeking for a long time. And I'm beginning to see more and more that we can look outside of us, and the answer is right in front of us, so to speak, or within us. So that's what I'm going to share. And whatever I used to share with the people, with my patients and clients in the past, made little or no impact. Whereas I have to say my sharing has shifted, my coaching has shifted, because I have started to see more and more what I'm going to share with you in the next few minutes. And again, this is just a snapshot, but I want you to get a snapshot of my journey and what I'm seeing that really helps my patients. And so some of you I know might be here for yourself. Some of you here might be here because of a loved one, or you might be a coach, or you might be a professional. Basically, you might be here thinking, I want to find an answer because I too have been seeking and I think, oh, that's it. And I have got something. And then again, I feel that, oh no, everything has collapsed. And so maybe this is why you are here. This slide, in a way, is like, I'm not making anyone wrong, but I have said so many times that what we call evidence-based approach is just falling short. I don't know about your individual experiences, but I had been in the NHS for a long time. That was since 2001 until almost 2 years ago. So I have seen that there are some really good practitioners, really like the heart-centered practitioners, obviously very overwhelmed and overstretched services, and they are trying to do their best, and they are following evidence-based treatment. And yet, we don't say that we cure people. Isn't it fascinating? We don't claim that we can heal people, whereas people are then seeking, unconventional treatment and they're saying I'm healing. What is that? What heals us? Why do we keep suffering, and what heals us? So I've seen that the usual approaches, and when I say usual approaches, I'm talking about biopsychosocial. Please don't get me wrong. There is a role for that, I think, at least in the short term, in terms of biological treatment. I know that it can be a lifesaver for some people, but if we are only relying on that, then again, like we will not, and this is my opinion, obviously, everything I say here is my opinion, my version of the truth, but I have not seen true healing. That's what I would say. And so why I'm inviting everyone here to bring the best listening and to really discover, like, is there something deeper? Is there something that I can truly explore that is going to be meaningful and sustainable, and it's not a short-term quick fix approach? There's so many distinctions I can give you, but just for today, I wanted to just uh, invite you to test your buds, like it in bud, and see, like, okay, what is possible? What is possible in the realm of mental health, which I call mental health? And that's the first distinction, by the way. What is possible when we really invite ourselves to go beyond what we hear in the news, what we are told about mental health, and how, what is the treatment and the intervention for mental health. So we will be looking at what's the distinction between mental health and mental wealth. Why on earth do I call it mental wealth rather than mental health? So we'll go there. I also want to touch on what I am, and I know this is a bit provocative, and some people might feel like upset or not happy with that, but I'm still going to bring that in. Maybe not consciously, maybe no one consciously wants to be a victim, but we all have felt victimized from time to time. Even I will put my hands on the heart and say, I have in the past felt victimized. Stuff happened to me and I felt it was so wrong. And I cried and I got very upset and I felt like a victim. And I was where I was, and I judged myself a lot, which did not help. But I also want to make a distinction between what I call victim consciousness and a distinction about how we can also like expand and go into a creator consciousness. And I also want to touch on how, as a possibility, how we sometimes get stuck in the fear-based system. When I say fear-based system is a way of being, we come from a fear-based way of being, and where it's also possible to switch to love-based system. And it's not necessarily doing, oh, so you're saying that I need to move from that to that. We can try all those quick fixes and trying to shift our energy. All of that is useful, but without a foundation, that can be very, very shaky. At least this is what I have observed in myself and what I've observed in people I work with. So I love talking about this distinction. And if you have heard me talk about it before, um, please again bring your best listening, because I can't emphasize how I see this. So I'll talk about the three paradigms I see in mental health as of today. And the most common paradigm is the traditional mental health paradigm, where the main question everyone asks is, what's wrong with you? They might not say it directly, but the theme is, what's wrong with you? Let's find out what's wrong with you so that we can figure out and we can then fix you. And so that is like, and it works in the short term, especially if like someone is having an acute crisis of some kind. It's very important to find out whether it's anything to do with the physical health, whether anything to do that we can sort out right now. And there is a role for that. There's, like I said, there's a role for the interventions that we give, at least in the short term. And the next upgrade, the next paradigm, I'm seeing more and more people talk about it, is an upgrade from this paradigm, which is the trauma-informed paradigm. And where the question is much better, more compassionate and kind. And it is, what happened to you? So I think that's a very important shift and good shift, and it's definitely an upgraded version of the paradigm for sure. And I still feel that there is a challenge with that. I found people feel that, oh, but this happened to me, so this is not possible to me. So then we limit ourselves. We are not able to give ourselves permission to expand because we think this happened to us, so it's impossible. And I have heard that not only in the people who have experienced trauma, but also in the people who are looking after them, like the healthcare professionals. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I have sat in meetings in my previous roles, and then people will say, "Oh, this person is very complex," and they say that, I hate to say this, but this person is damaged. Now, these are, well-meaning healthcare professionals who get very frustrated. They are trying their best to use evidence-based medicine, giving as much resources as possible to the person. This person is still struggling with the symptoms. So I have heard, people say like that. So to me, even the trauma-informed paradigm is like, what happened to you? We are looking at the past. Now imagine this, and this is a metaphor I heard recently in a podcast. Imagine we are driving the car, but we are driving the car looking at the rear view mirror constantly. So we are looking at what happened, or we are trauma informed, or this trauma happened to me, but we're constantly looking in the rear view mirror while we are going ahead. The car is going to crash. So although it's an upgraded version, I absolutely understand about needing to have compassion and kindness and really being mindful of the trauma. I want to talk about the mental wealth paradigm, because this is where I have seen healing takes place. This is where I've seen that people start like shifting from having that victim consciousness, or this, all this trauma happened to me, there's no hope kind of thing, or I can only do so much, my limit is so much, to living a fuller, more expansive life. and feeling more joyful. And that is possible. And how I describe the mental wealth paradigm is what's already within you. What's already within you. Not negating everything that happened in the past. I can help you look in the rearview mirror and we can explore that. But I have to tell you that if we keep doing that and keep going forward, it's not going to help you. Because what you're going to do is you're going to bring your past into your future. And then you try to step into your future saying all the right affirmations and everything. But every time you step into the future, you contract. Because why? You have been driving with your eyes glued, or most of the time, 90% of the time, like looking at the rear view mirror. So mental wealth to me is our spiritual gifts. There's something that we have already been blessed with. And I want you to just consider this line from the Bible, that we are made in the image of God. Now, even if you don't believe it and you think, oh, like, why are you quoting the Bible and everything? But even if you don't say God and you say our creator or whatever, if you think that we are made in the image of our creator, that to me says that we also have creativity. We have what I would call creative essence. You might have heard about the term our true essence. And then something you might be scratching your head thinking, what is true essence? Well, I call true essence creative essence. I've come across this term. This is not my term, but I love it. There's something about the word creative essence that reminds us to look inwards. And mental wealth paradigm is inviting us to look inwards. Beneath the superficial, this is what happens. There's a lot of turbulence. Our mood goes up and down. One day we feel amazing, next day we crash. That happens to all of us. Maybe some people not so extreme, but I know people perhaps with anxiety and in depression or mental health challenges might feel more up and down. And if we constantly just look at the up and down and try to fix this layer, we are missing something else. Because we can try and try and try to fix this, but if the foundation is shaky, we'll find that we get triggered by even the smallest thing. Even the neighbor's dog barking can trigger us, can remind us of our limitation. So this is like, to me, this is the most hopeful message. And it's not about being intellectualizing. Initially you might intellectualize it and say, okay, like it makes sense to me, even that is great. And it's about hearing something from beyond your intellect. That's what my invitation is for people. And at this stage, I want to talk about energy, right? And someone I absolutely admire, and the author of 2 books called The Power of Systems and the Power of Love, Trevor Timbeck, introduced me to this model, which I have shared with many people, and I'm going to get it for you. I only hope you can see. You can see it. Okay, so you can't see it very well, but you can see this. This can contract and this can expand, and you won't see the full expansion, right? But I want you to get the sense that in life, especially when we are going through mental health challenges, we have contracting energy, or we have contraction energy. And I was like, I was talking to someone today about our internal, like a weather, and how we have seasons. This person, this client of mine, she had been going through winter season. For how winter had come earlier, even when outside it has been summer, she'd been going through winter. So what I said to her is, during the winter period, this is what happened. Of course, she was going through the winter period for sure. And then she was also judging being in the winter season, if I may use that metaphor. So there's something about, like, sometimes we all contract anyway because maybe it's the physical thing, maybe we're in pain, maybe we're exhausted, maybe some people might have withdrawal symptoms from coming off medication. Some people, it could be anything. But we contract from time to time, and what keeps us there longer is our own judgment. It's our I shouldn't be here, I shouldn't be this way, and us resisting whatever it is. And there's something very important to understand, because once we stop resisting our experiences, because we understand the nature of our experiences, guess what? The nature of energy is to expand and contract. We expand. We expand when we stop resisting. And it's not like wishing there was no winter. Like, come on, when we sign up the contract to come as a human being, we were told we'll have, I mean, not told maybe, but it was inevitable. We will have all kinds of seasons. It's not just the seasons outside or the weather outside. We as human beings will be, and this has been like written in our charts. We will be experiencing all kinds of emotions, all kinds of feelings, all kinds of thoughts, all kinds of experiences. We cannot escape that as a human being. And in a way, our assignment is to really find out that we are not that. We are not our experiences. We are beyond that, and that's one of our assignments, to find out who we are beyond our humanness. Okay, so moving on. There's something about nervous system, right? I know that some people might think that there's nothing to do with the nervous system, and if we can really have an insight about our true nature, that will be great. Yeah, I would love that to happen. I would love my patients, my clients, to really see, to really have an insight about what I'm talking about. I would love them to see to really get the inside out understanding. And I'm not going to debate about trauma, where it's held and all this stuff, but I have seen one thing, and again, this is something that Trevor Timbuk said that really resonated with me. There's something about all the systems, even our nervous system being, okay, let me put it this way. If everything in the world is connected, every single thing, and is all energy, and we are, all of us here, there are about 18 of us, all of us are individuals, right? And it seems like, oh, we are not connected. And at the same time, spirituality teaches us there is a connectedness beyond what we see, right? But even if you were to just think about nervous system, what I have come to see from reading The Power of Systems and having some conversations with Trevor was that, as a possibility, we are all connected to, obviously, higher intelligence. And imagine, like, when what we call God, or what we call pure consciousness, is just as a possibility, okay? Parasympathetic nervous system, calm, joyful, happy, content, just peace. So if the giant nervous system, or the universal nervous system, the pure consciousness, is that pure parasympathetic nervous system, so to speak, speaking the jargon, and our nervous system is like all over the roof, like a shaky, like we are more in the stress and fight or flight. Maybe the more we are aligned, and maybe the more we are aligned with mind, body, and spirit, and to a higher universal system, and maybe we feel more grounding, and we feel more safe, more calm. So I would like to go like a expansive, and I want us to like explore as a possibility abstract thinking, and I also like to go practical. And I know that even in science, there has been evidence that the more we are able to have daily practices to soothe our nervous system, in a way, it's possible for us to rewire what we call the brain. And I know that the brain is not the same as the universal mind, or what we talk about as God. But what I would say is that when we are in this human form, mind, body, spirit, it's very important when we think about mental health to also to think about the body, to also think about the nervous system, because it's all of this a part of a bigger system. And I know I might be losing some of you, so bear with me. I wanted to show you a video, but I can't show you the video, and I'm going to share with you the link. But nature has a way to return to calm. What do I mean by that? And there is, some of you might have seen this video, and I have shown this video to so many of my clients, and I wanted to show you this. Unfortunately, we have a tech problem, so I'm going to send the link. But what you see here in this screen is an image of an impala being attacked by this cheetah. And you can imagine that the whole video is only like 1 minute 20 seconds long, but the cheetah is about to eat it. Like he's like grabbing his neck and then trying to hold it, and something happens. He looks somewhere and then he just runs away. That's a cheetah. And what's fascinating is what happens to the impala. Initially, it's just frozen. It's a complete shock to the whole system. It's a huge trauma, because it was like inches away from dying, right, from death. Initially, it was completely frozen, and what you see soon is that its belly starts rising. It's like starting to breathe. It's starting to breathe as if like it's like, okay, the danger has got, and so the first thing that came back was the breath, and then started shaking very vigorously like this, just shaking like this, shaking like this for a good few seconds. And guess what happened after that? Just got up and just went away, ran away. So the lesson here in this video, this very powerful video, is that trauma happens. Trauma does happen. And trauma is just a term. Forget the word trauma, because sometimes it might not be traumatic to someone, but to other people it might be trauma. But you understand when I say trauma. Some people say it's like big trauma. Some people say this could be little trauma. This is a clearly big trauma. We are talking about life and death here. What happens is that we do have a system in terms of a nervous system to help us survive, right? Fight, flight, or freeze. Because this impala could not escape, froze, right? So lucky it was not his or her day to die. So, given a second chance. But you can see that from freezing, that it started to bring the breath back and then started shaking. So what I'm saying is there's something for us to learn here. When we have any kind of mental health challenges, say we are feeling anxious, say we are feeling depressed, or anything like really unwell, or just feeling like overwhelmed or stressed, there's something about how small practices can shift our energy. Because when we feel stress or feel any like mental health challenges, we go into this contracted state. And although there's a no threat as such, our body for some reason goes into contraction. And there are some very simple practices we can do to even shift that energy so that we go from contraction to more expansion. And so this is something that I have been experimenting with, along with my clients, because we know about talking therapy in mental health, in NHS, or as a evidence-based treatment. Some of the time talking therapy works, some of the time something else works. It's never because of the modality, it's the insight. Someone has an insight from within and their life changed. It could be even with CBT, it could be with cognitive analytic therapy, it could be in coaching, it could be while having a very powerful conversation with their partner and going deep. Someone could just see something. That's for sure. But we also know people, or maybe we have been there ourselves, when we just felt stuck. We felt like, oh, this book has really helped me in the past, or this video has helped me, or this practice has helped me, but then we just feel stuck. So I used to be an EFT trainer, emotional freedom technique. So I believe in the power of body work. And to me, all the modalities, whenever we incorporate some kind of body work, what we are doing is we are shifting any contraction in us and any contraction in a mindset, in a contraction in a language, in a way of thinking, by just shifting the energy, things can change. And that's something I want us to explore, and maybe we do that in the Q&A. At the moment, I just want to go through this presentation, but please bear in mind anything that comes to you to consider and reflect on, and please share with us later on. This, I just want you to, rather than me reading this out, I just want you to read this. And if anyone is on, if no, someone is just on their listening to this while driving, maybe I just read it out. The slide says, when we see that every feeling, perception, and reaction are created through thought, we realize that fear or anxiety no longer has to rule our life. And again, take this with a pinch of salt and see what you see. But I want to pick out one word there, which is thought. Thought, again, I see thought the same way, like I used to see thought the same way I used to see systems. I used to like talking about systems. If you haven't read the Power of Systems book by Trevor Timbeck and Steve Chandler and Trevor Timbeck, I highly recommend you have a read. But in the past, my idea of system was very, very limited. Oh, system means like I need to be organized. I need to have a system. And I used to hate that kind of like having a system. Like, no, I like to be free and I like to do in a flow state. I don't like system. So I had a very limited understanding of system. The book opened me up to like, wow, I can play with the word called system and really see that everything is interconnected. Even when I think there's no system, there is a system of some kind, an invisible system that's keeping me stuck. So I found it very fascinating. And similarly with the word thought, I got really stuck with thought when I came across this understanding, this inside out understanding when they talked about thought. And I thought, hang on, this is thought, this is not thought. I know I'm thinking about this person now and I'm getting angry. So I know this is my thought. But all of a sudden, I'm having like a very shitty experiences. That's not from thought. I'm not even thinking anything. So my understanding and definition of thought was my thinking. What has shifted for me is just like I saw systems everywhere, and I saw systems as, that's a really very beautiful use of word. I have started to see thought as energy. I have started to see thought as a very powerful, creative energy. And if I may say so, I'll say spiritual energy. So when Sydney Banks, the person who uncovered the three principles and talks about mind, thought, and consciousness, universal mind, thought, and consciousness, he was pointing to something very profound, something very deep. But I initially thought it's, I have a mind, I am conscious, I have my thinking. And so I don't even try to explain what the three principles are because that's not needed. But what I want us to experiment with, just like I experimented with systems, is the energy of thought. So it's formless, it's invisible, but we are more powerful than we think. We are a creator of our experiences and we have got a gift, but we don't see things as thought. And you might say, but Rani, this is a bottle. This is a bottle. This is not thought, right? I'm not saying this is thought. This is clearly a bottle, but again, this is matter. And at the level, this is energy and this is vibrational energy. So I'm starting to see, even with the power of systems and thought, that some thoughts are expansive thoughts, and some thoughts are very very like give it very limited. make us very like small and contracted. And I've started to see more and more that when we say mental health challenges, someone is going through mental health challenges, be it anxiety, depression, or any other condition, it's like they are in a contracted state, and maybe they are not even consciously aware of any conscious thoughts, but the vibrational energy is contraction. And so that's all I would say now. Let's not go any deeper than that. And I'm happy to answer any questions, but that's how I'm seeing it at the moment. But when when we see every feeling, perception, and reaction are created through thought, that we are the creator of our experiences. That's very, very important, that word. We are the creator of all our experiences, all our amazing experiences, including all our very not amazing experiences. When we see ourselves as that, two things happen. Perhaps as a possibility, we can stop blaming ourselves. But the other thing can happen is that we can start taking ownership of our life 100%. No one else can take ownership of our life, only we can, through how we see things, how we saw the past, how we are seeing the past that happened then, we had our experience back then, how we are continuing to see the past is again through, taking ownership of our experience, no blame, but that's how I see it. And again, taking ownership of how we go to the future from here on. So we are much, much more powerful than we even want to like ever claim, because we are made. Remember this line, we are made in the image of God, and we keep forgetting, and we keep trying to forget even, because there's something about that that also scares us about how powerful we are. So in terms of creation, there is unconscious creation and conscious creation. And no one says, I'm going to be a victim today. I'm going to wake up in the morning and I'm going to play a victim today, the whole day today. Right, bring it on. No one says that. No one says that. There's unconscious, very like what Sydney Banks would say, innocence, the innocent creation, because we might entertain a thought, oh, my life is crap, and start seeing that and start putting on like that glasses in the morning when we wake up, my life is crap. And guess what? Everywhere I go, I see my life crap. Oh, this bottle is there, it doesn't have a lid, right? Oh God, I'm useless. My life is full of crap. So it's like when a thought pops and we are like watering it very unconsciously, it's a creation. We don't see it as that. But the more we pause and we wonder, how much of this could be my creation? And if I can have such a powerful like story of things going wrong in my life, is it also possible for me to shift the switch by doing my own inner work and become a conscious creator of my life? And guess what? We all have been given the skills, the tools to be a conscious creator, except that no one has taught us that as a possibility, or we told ourselves, I can't do it. If we say I can't do it, again, we are with those words, I can't do it. We are in that moment creating, can't do it. It's not possible for me. It's so simple and it's so profound when you start saying, wow, that's very fascinating. You don't have to judge yourself, say, and be in a state of wonder. Be just curious. Wow, that's really interesting. I just said that to my child or whatever. I said that to myself. So so what I wanted to say is I wanted to just give you something to take away, and I would say two key practices just for you to experiment with. You don't have to do it, but I have been experimenting with these two key practices, and I find this fascinating. Okay, because again, coming from the power of systems, I love that book. I have done YouTube videos on that. I've been blown away by what I see as like playing with systems. Just like I started seeing thought everywhere, I see systems everywhere. So Trevor says that there are two most important systems of the human being. One is a nervous system and one is a language system. And so how I see like the nervous system is like, yeah, it does go off balance. We do contract. Even if we are not consciously creating this, it's unconscious, or we something happens and we do, there's a sudden contraction. And what is possible is the realignment. We fall out of alignment and we can realign. And so the more you look at, are there simple practices I can do on a day-to-day basis to realign my nervous system when I notice that it's doing a bit shaky? Because you know that who we truly are, our creative essence, is more aligned to the universal nervous system, so to speak, right? So when you are feeling this, you know that you could either entertain those thinking, or you can ask yourself a simple question like, wow, how can I realign myself? And I have found movement fascinating. You don't have to do that shake, but you could do any practices to just shift your body. This is why people talk about, and Trevor talks about his walking system. He goes for long, slow walks, and then that's his system of realigning himself. So for some people, it could be running. For some people, it could be just movement. Some people, it might be just soulful music. I have realized, but by the way, I've got a standing desk. And I realized that even when I'm talking to my clients, I love to move my body and I shift my energy. And it just like feels like sometimes when I'm, thinking or get a bit too, too serious, there's a playfulness. I'm inviting myself to be a bit more playful and shift my energy. So I also do the tapping to again help people ground themselves. I don't do tapping as a therapy. I help people with the tapping to bring them back to the here and now. And I also have fallen in love with it because I know my special interest is deprescribing people of long-term medications when I'm preparing them to and sowing the seeds and making the fertile ground for them to really come off the medication safely and with less withdrawal effects. It's very important for them to learn to realign their nervous system. And I find that tapping again helps them. And any breath work, right? Any breath work, any movement, you can do that kind of thing to really realign your nervous system. One practice, again, you can just do 2 minutes. And again, I would call it a 2 minute system. You don't need a long, long time to do this kind of practice. Just commit to 2 minutes. You're finding yourself stressed, you're sitting in the car, and you can just like move your body and take a breath and just for 2 minutes, right? And I have seen my state shift in just 2 minutes. So that's one practice I would ask you to consider and experiment with. The other one is the language system, harnessing our language system. And it's about being conscious about how we talk to ourselves. The thoughts that we have in our head and what we say, oh, that was so stupid of me, or I can't believe I just said that. And see how that kind of like it might seem like a very subtle and might very innocent, but see how one thing stacks after another, one thing stacks up over another, and soon you'll find the reason why you are feeling so contracted is because of the feedback you're giving yourself with the language you're using, the thoughts you're having about yourself. And the one thing I would say here is just start noticing how much we complain, how much we judge other people. It's about judging not just people, situations, the weather, judgments, and then also see not we just don't stop at judgment, we also start complaining. And all of that are like messages to our nervous system and a message. And do you think our nervous system is going to expand whenever we are complaining? Of course not. It's going to contract. This like some kind of threat. This is why we are complaining. So the more we are consciously choosing to just see, oh, I just said that to myself. Is that loving for me? Is this loving towards me? I want to heal from anxiety. Are the words that I am like giving myself, infusing into my energy, are they really words of healing? Are they more words of like feeling more dampened down and contracted? And so there's something about radical honesty with ourselves. No one else knows what lies we have been telling ourselves. Oh, I'm going to go for a walk. I know the weather is a bit like chilly. I'm not going for a walk now. And we are the ones that hear our own lies, and is not aligned with who we are. God did not say that, okay, I'm going to create a universe and then it's like, I'm not sure about today. I think I'm going to take a break. I'm going to create the universe and the stars and ocean, or, oh no, I'm not sure. I'm doubting myself. No, right? Similarly, like it's just a practice. It's just a habitual way of being that we have limited ourselves with our thinking, with our beliefs, and with what we say to ourselves. And so the more you harness the language system, and I've learned that language creates, but Trevor talks about how language coordinates, because when we speak the language that's again aligned with who we are and our creative essence, you'll find that our nervous system also reciprocates. How we feel in ourselves also reciprocates, and we feel more like there's nothing's changed, but we just find a change in a state, and our vibrational state gets lifted. And again, you can see I'm using a lot of the word system. You can see that I got really inspired by this. But how I see mental health issues is that we get trapped in a fear-based system, or our approach to things is fear-based. So we approach something and we're hesitating, or we are thinking something which is fearful, and we are feeding that more and more and more because we don't know any other way. We don't know how the mind works. We think that it's our job. I'm in control, so I should be figuring it out with my thinking. So the fear-based system is obviously the mind paradigm. And this is what leads to unmanaged or chronic stress. And like my mentor, Bill Pettit, said that he sees all the root cause of all mental health, mental illness is chronic stress. I really see that. I get that. Because if you think about it, stress will then, like cascade all of these chemical changes that happens. And no wonder we have all the health impact, physical health impact, mental health impact. And I'm not saying it's so easy to just switch from a love-based system to from a fear-based system to love-based system. But if you think about it, love-based system is you have more clarity and you get to enjoy more peace of mind. And what has really helped me see this is having a foundation is really going back to not who am I, what am I? Who am I? Then we get trapped in, oh, I'm so and so, I'm this, I'm that, I'm a mother, I'm so and so sister, brother. We get trapped in the humanness, like, oh, who am I? So if you were to even consider, like, what am I? That question itself invites you to explore, like, there is something more than just this flesh and blood, just my thinking, my past, my trauma, and everything that I think is who I am. There is something beyond that. And I think when we are looking, like when we like zoom out, we really see that there is this grand design, and we have got very, very beautiful spiritual gifts that we are the creator of our own experiences. That I changed the slide here. I changed the slide, and the slide was that of a having some pains. Okay, so imagine, and I love this. Imagine that we have all been gifted with this paintbrush, and we can create anything we like. And we have two separate pots. One is a pot, the color, we have a giant brush, and then we can paint our life from that. There's these two pots. One pot is full of dark color, darkness, and what I would call the fear-based system colors. And the other one is this lighter, more vibrant and vibrational and more aligned with our true nature and in a beautiful colors. What happens is that we have, like very innocently from a very early age, train ourselves to pick up the brush and put in the first one first, which is the fear-based, the dark, because we want to survive. We think, oh, like we are looking at threat and we are looking at safety. We want to be safe. And we are saying, oh, what if something goes wrong? What if I take this step and then something goes wrong? So it's again like, because how the nervous system works, we have been wired to definitely make sure we are safe, right? If we just have a superficial understanding, we will think it's our job to keep ourselves safe. Oh, I have to be safe, I have to be safe, and I have to control it to be safe. And so people are looking for psychological safety. But what I point to in terms of the mental wealth paradigm is like, we are saying that, okay, I'm already part of a spiritual safety system. I'm already part of a universal system with which, when I really deeply understand my true nature, I know I'm safe. And of course, like I'm not talking about physical safety. That safety gives us the wisdom to discern which is like physically is going to be safe, which is not. But most of the time, the challenges we have is not about physical safety. Physical safety, we make sure that we close the door, we don't go out in the dark on our own, and all those we have our agreements, and we adhere to it. But when it comes to psychological safety, somehow we have been telling ourselves we are not safe, we are not safe, we are not safe. The way I make myself safe is by ruminating, by thinking about it, by constantly analyzing it. That's not true. That's not true. And that's what keeps us in a lower vibrational energy, that in a contracted space. And so once we see the power of our creative essence, what we are, then we will know that we already have this spiritual safety system in place, and we can ask and surrender for help. By the way, surrender, there are two ways of surrendering. One is, I surrender. Okay, I give up, I give up. That's not the surrender I'm talking about. The surrender I talk about is this: putting up there, looking up to the universe, says, I surrender, help me, support me, and I will do my bit. I will do my bit. And so from that place, we start dipping the giant paintbrush in the love-based system one very gently, and we like know that we are supported by the universal system, and we slowly but surely start coloring our life and taking one step at a time. So using some of the practices I have said, or any practice you know of, I'd say you do not create inner peace. Okay, you do not need to create inner peace. Inner peace is already there, and you need to discover what's always been within by releasing what blocks it. So at this stage, I will say that some of you might have come across this story. I'm not even sure. I'm not even sure it's true, but it seems like when Michelangelo created David, people were asking him, like, "Wow, this is a masterpiece. You made David, like this huge, like amazing David from marble, from a slab of marble. How did you do it? How did you create David?" And you see, Michelangelo said, well, I did not create David. David was already there. All I did was chip away those bits of marble that wasn't David. And lo and behold, David, this is David. This is, you can see David now. So who we truly are, we are a part of the universal system, and our true nature is love and peace and joy. And like David, we are trapped in that marble of, with all the limiting stories of what happened and what's possible for me. And what I'm inviting you to do it, and sometimes you need the support of a coach, of a therapist, of a guide, just chip away very slowly. And this is not a race. It's not a quick fix. It's not like, oh, but Rani, I started chipping yesterday. Nothing's happened. We are an evolving piece of art. Like, forget David now, even Rani, with all the blocks that she still has got, she's an evolving piece of art. Anyone who is here is an evolving piece of art. We chip away some bits, And you say, ah, I arrived, and the universe will give you a test, and you say, oh my goodness, I can't believe, like, like, oh, and then we might go into like, oh, what's, maybe I'm not good enough. No, it's not about not good enough. Your only competition is you. You look back at the journey and see how far you have come. And the journey continues. We continuously keep evolving. It's not like I have arrived and I am done now with my inner journey kind of thing. I think the ego might say that, and boom, you get a what I call a smelly gift, and suddenly say, okay, there's something for me to see here. So when we invite and play the game of life in a way like a curiosity as a child, and say like, right, okay, I have got like the reason why this smelly gift, I don't want this smelly gift and it's smelly, but I know that there is growth for me even in this challenge. And then you say, I'm going to like do my best to just see what I can see here and be guided and just play with this, have wonder. And you know what? The mentor will come your way. The webinar you'll come here, we say, oh, bingo, I've got something. The right person will come and say something to you, and you'll hear beyond their words. So that is my invitation to all of you. Okay, wow, I went on for an hour. Now I would love to hear what you have heard, any thoughts you have got, any questions. And I have got a couple more, yeah, a couple more slides that I wanted to show you, but I just wanted to hear if there is anything that's resonating with you, any yes buts, because this is an opportunity for all of us to learn and share. So please raise your electronic hand up, or if you don't want to, then you can put something in the chat. But I would really like to hear from some of you any thoughts, any questions. That will be very amazing. I can't see anyone's hand go up, so let's just checking. Any thoughts, any comments? Are people still awake? Okay, all right. Okay. So is this at least landing at some level? Just put a yes or no, or I think is there any main chat? What is the main chat? Okay. This was great. Thank you, Dominic. I have seen the light. Oh, Julie, thank you. It warms my heart. Thank you. Bless you. Let me just give a few minutes. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Grace. Let's see what shows up in the space. Thank you. Wow. Someone's just come in. In the past, I would have freaked out if no one spoke. Like, like, oh my goodness, is it my messaging? Did it not land? I might have all kinds of stories about being quiet and silence and no one speaking anything. And what I've started to see more and more is I have started to feel so much more comfortable in no one speaking anything. And this is so unlike me. I had to fill up the space in the past. I would not dare to get emotional and like feel any like any any feeling where like it feels like oh like I'm choking with like not sadness but with emotion, but I'm feeling a sense of like a sense of like I just feeling coming up to me like, oh, this is beautiful, this is huge. I don't even know what I'm saying, but it felt right what I am experiencing right now. And I think I would call it love. And Marina, you have got your hand up, so please unmute yourself and share what you want to share.
Thank you so much, Rani. It was great pleasure really to hear you speaking, and I will be your supporter as long as I live, yeah, in this on this journey, yeah, because I think what you do is incredibly timely and important because through my both personal and professional journey, yeah, I had contact with psychiatry, and it's so much disconnected really from our spiritual essence. So what you say is really it has to go far and wide. And I don't know how we can help you with that, but definitely in all senses, yeah, what is possible to do in both in Sweden and in Russia, you can count on me.
Cool. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank
And
you
we're
so
all
much.
doing a part. We are all doing a part. You know, the very fact that you guys are here also says that we are all playing our own part in, you know, in doing our bit. And it might seem very little, but you never know who we are impacting just by us being us and us sharing what we are sharing. So there are many of you I know that you're sharing this, and whatever, you know, you something really resonates with you at a deeper level, and then you are sharing that. Wow. I admire your courage and faith. It's time for more practitioners spoke out openly about a spiritual dimension. Absolutely, Grace. Absolutely. The ripple effect, yeah. Wow. And I feel that. Dominic, please go ahead.
Yes, and let's see if I can I can't tell if I'm on or not. Okay, yes. I was out for a walk, so I was listening in the as I was out for a walk. I really I love the story with the what you shared about with the impala and was it a lion that got it or was about to get it? Whatever other animal predator that was.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, there was something about like see the like as I thought about that story and how perfectly the response was that kind of dealt with the trauma and then restored the impala back to our a normal state or it just brought it back. And, they don't go to school, they don't read books, they're not being educated about any of this stuff. But to hear your description of the video, in that it would, like, it was moved to do what was necessary to do to sort of have it be returned to its proper state. And that all happened naturally and effortlessly. And to me, there's something really exciting about that. It's kind of like, wow, like the one thing it wasn't doing was it wasn't interfering with its, education and its good ideas and its various approaches for, how you're supposed to handle these sorts of horrible situations that might have happened to you. So I just wanted to share that. There was like a bit of an insight as I thought about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're so right. Thank you, Dominic. Thank you so much. Yeah, that really inspired me, that video, and I've been showing it to so many people. And we can go on and on about the trauma paradigm and oh, like what happened to you. Let's explore that. Let's explore that. Oh dear, it must have been very difficult. And then we are putting on more and more layers and like even preventing from what naturally could happen, or it would happen, but maybe we are delaying that from happening. So as a thought. So that's very, yeah, beautiful. Thank you for sharing that and bringing that to
Okay.
my attention. Beautiful. So I have
Thanks.
got Rachel. Hi, Rachel.
Hi, Ronnie. Nice to see you again, and thank you. Um, I wondered if I don't know if you mind me asking this question, but you said at the beginning that you used to see yourself as an angry person. And I wondered, is it through all the work that you've done that have you moved through that, or what do you think about anger as an emotion now?
Oh, that's so beautiful. How do you see with anger? I think again, anger is nothing wrong with anger. We make it wrong, but there's nothing wrong with anger if it's allowed that space to just express it and then it moves on. And I think I had a lot of story about my anger. I think that's the thing. With every emotion, we can feel sad, we can feel upset, we can feel angry, we can feel jealousy, all of it. We don't just feel it, but we then come up with stories about it. And I think I used to feel this heat, and that happened when I was a little child. And my sisters, we used to tease each other a lot. And I was also notorious. Okay, I was not the kind one. Don't get me wrong. Even I was like four sisters, and we used to fight a lot. And they used to win because they had this power of the words. And I used to fumble whenever I got like upset. So that used to make me even more angry. So I had a lot of stories about anger, and then I saw that that was my habitual go-to. Like something happened and I would react because it was like I started practicing it more and more and stacking it up. And at some point it was like I'm an angry person, that I took on the identity of like I don't just feel angry, I am an angry person. And then I thought I had to go to therapy. I didn't go to therapy obviously, but I did see myself as like, oh, that's a big barrier, I'm an angry person. And it's fascinating that just like I had that story of I'm an angry person, another story was I'm also a very sensitive person. Like I would burst into tears very soon, and I saw that as a weakness. So I had all of this like emotions, and then I used to think that, oh, because I have these emotions and I have got this too often, this is who I am. I'm an angry person, I'm a very sensitive person. And what I didn't know is that emotions are meant to be free flowing. We are meant to be feeling all kinds of emotions without being attached to them. But it was like when I felt angry or I felt sensitive, I would just pick that up, just like a picking out something, and sit with it and start analyzing it. And I would get more and more angry. This made me angry. This made me angry. Or there, I'm angry because of them. And it was like a judgment of the not only the anger, the emotion, but also other people and blaming. And I didn't know I was innocent. I really didn't know what I didn't know. And I think the journey definitely like, and rather than that, I don't remember when that came off me, it's like, again, just chipping away. I might not have been angry, working on I'm an angry person like thing. But as I started to see who I really am, and that it's okay to have all kinds of emotions. I can still feel angry now, but it doesn't stay long. It just stays for a few seconds. And then because I realized that, oh, it just came to me like anything else. And this is what emotions are passed to, emotion, energy in motion. We are meant to have these emotions, but what happens is because of a misunderstanding and a misuse of the power of thought, in a way, they vibrationally we get stuck and contracted. Whereas the more we allow ourselves to feel angry without blame, without judging it, it will pass through us very, sooner. Make sense?
Yes, very much so. But I mean, also it's a label, and if you over-identify with a label, then you sort of need to realize that you're many other things as well. You're not just an angry person or a sensitive person, or but I just think anger is such a tricky one because I think it's a lot of people, it's quite a frowned upon emotion, and it can be quite a destructive emotion if it's not expressed in a healthy way. I think because anger can be quite scary to people because it's quite a powerful emotion. So yeah, but I love what you're saying, and I find it helpful. So
No,
thank you.
thank you. And just to say that here's the other challenge. Repressed anger is worse. It's poison. Suppressed anger is even poison because you are not able to say it or express it. I'm not saying express it in a way where you become violent. That becomes scary to people. But beneath all of that, there is fear. there is a fear-based system. The reason why someone might get angry and violent and it gets scary is because they are operating from a fear-based system. At some level, there is fear. There can't be love-based system and that shows up in anger. Of course, we can have all kinds of emotions, but if that is like showing up more and more, that has to come from a fear-based system. And so, but I've also seen that I have known people who have been told not to show any anger, not to speak up as a child, conditioned not to express any anger at all. Guess what? They are now presenting as depressed and suppressing their emotions because they were never allowed to even say any word out of anger because they would get a stick. So I'm not saying that there is like this is you should be expressing yourself that way. Of course, there needs to be a container. It has to feel safe. But most importantly, if the person really feels hard, they feel safe to articulate it. You know what? They won't be using that way of expressing themselves all the time. It's just learned behavior and they don't know anything else. It's like that's the only tool they can think of to put across their point. And so all I would say is like we can have judgment about someone who say, for example, angry and expressing themselves that way. Because yeah, they can learn better ways, but obviously they are maybe not keen or maybe they don't want to go there and they're full of fear. And when we see ourselves judging someone like that, I think what I have started to do is where in my life am I like that at some level? It might not be anger, but with another emotion. Like, because if I'm judging someone else for that, it's also like, what can I learn from this? Well, I can learn not to be angry like that, but is there also another learning for me here? So I am seeing more and more that just because someone is coming from anger, from a fear-based system, doesn't mean I also have to respond from a fear-based system. As I continue my work and realign my nervous system, and also like use my language system and do my work, I can still choose to come from a fear-based system and say enough is enough. So again, so I think that's something that came to me to share with you. But thank you for bringing this here.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Annie. That's very helpful.
You are very welcome. Is there anyone else who wants to say something? And if not, I'm going to share something with you here, if I may. One of the things I have been seeing a lot is how, again, commitment, by the way, and I love this. Commitment is not a one-off thing. It's not like, right, we listened to the webinar today, we came to the webinar with, okay, do this, yeah, I'm going to commit to this way of being. Guess what? Commitment is the first step for sure. But there's something more powerful than commitment. It's recommitment. I can't tell you how many times I have committed to something, and then in the past I say, oh yeah, like, I'm so rubbish at this, I can't commit. And I became fearful of committing because I was thinking, oh my goodness, if I commit, then I might not be able to keep my word. And that stopped me from committing to my health and fitness at a level that I knew would surpass any of the previous commitments. But what I'm learning with kindness and loving myself is like, it's okay to fall off, to slip from the path. It's very important to recommit. Every opportunity we have, we do have opportunities to recommit, to realign. So just like we can't just align once and say, I'm feeling so much at peace and like, I don't have to like realign anymore. No, stuff happens in this form, in this illusion called life. And when we are playing this game of life, tough stuff can happen, things will happen, and we will become wobbly again. It's about how do we become aligned again, how do we realign, and how do we get free. So I want to say, and again, this is in very few words only, that for anyone who heard something here and said like, wow, I would like to be part of this conversation and I would like to go deeper and I would like to be in a community, Suraj, my husband, and I, we are creating a new mental health community but like no other. This is going to be an exceptional community, and we are taking in some founding members for this whole month of September. Launch is on my birthday, next Thursday, 19th of September, next Friday, 19th of September. And in that community, there's lots of positives for joining as a founding member, but you will never find such a unique community such as me and what me and Suraj are creating. We are both very holistic psychiatrists. We are coming from a very spiritual understanding of who we are. And we see that many people are struggling with mental health difficulties, or maybe someone is trying to support someone with mental health difficulties, and then they don't know what practices would be good, how to really bring in, not do spiritual bypass, but also talk about practical things like lifestyle medicine and bring in something practical for people to do. So we are creating that space, and that's more like less content and more life coaching and supportive community. I'm going to share in the emails, I'll just share the link. If anyone feels curious about it and wants to have a conversation, please drop me a message. I would love to share with you more. Even if you are not interested, that's absolutely fine. If you think, I can think of that person who would be really good fit, because I know that they need something between the therapy sessions. They are seeing a psychiatrist or they're having therapy, but that's not enough for them. They would like to be held, and you can join anytime, stop anytime, but we only want you there if you feel that this is aligned with your journey, and you can stop anytime. So this is my promise to you. Like, I am on a mission. Let me end by saying this. Many people say, Rani, you're very courageous. How do you do it? For a long time, I was sitting on the fence because I did not want to upset my colleagues. I was scared of my colleagues, and I was like, okay, I can't speak my truth. I can't articulate it, kind of. And what will GMC say? Our, General Medical Council say? What would people say about like me? Like if I talk about spirituality, and they'll think I'm religious. What I'm saying more and more is this is my assignment from God. I feel that if I were to just keep my mouth shut and sit at home and not do anything, I'm really not fulfilling my assignment. We all have our individual assignments in life. We only get to be human in this form that we are in only once. That's my belief anyway. And we all have our individual assignments to make a difference. First of all, to ourselves, and then loved ones. And so I feel this is a calling. It's not about me. This is beyond me. And in the past, I might say, who am I to think I can change the mental health paradigm? Well, again, like Marianne Williamson's point, who am I not to? Sometimes you just need one committed person or two committed. In my case, me and my husband, our heart is in the right place, and we know this is an assignment from God. And if not anything, I would love your love and blessings and prayers for us that, our community thrives and we really make an impact in the world, not just in one person's life, and maybe we will do in a few people's life, and it will be that someone said, it's a ripple effect, it's a ripple effect, it's a ripple effect, because we want to have a system where more humans come from the love-based system rather than a fear-based system. And I tell you not, I think the current mental health paradigm is based more in the fear-based system. My heart says we can change that to a love-based system. So thank you all for coming. Thank you all for staying until the end. I love you so much. Marina, you wanted to say something?
Yes, Rani, just the last word. I'm definitely in being a founding member. So it will be such, all what you say, it's not even emotional response. It's really soul to soul response, because I totally with you that if we keep on sitting with all our missions separately and silently, this fear-based matrix it's what they want. Yeah. The power is really in community and bringing in people together who can do whatever they can, the piece of their wisdom, and bring together the people who look for help, but they don't know how to find it. And I think we will do an absolutely fantastic thing out of it. So at least I'm with you.
You
100%. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Lots of love to everyone. Have a lovely
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. See you later.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye for now.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye.
Thank you so much, Rani. Bye. And big
Bye.
hugs to Suraj.
Yeah.
Lots of love to all your family.
Bye.